In the center of the galaxy, there was a great place called the Galactic Concord. It was a huge space station, bigger than any planet, where more than 600 alien species met and worked together. These species had ships that could fly faster than light. They had computers smarter than any brain. They had peace, trade, and knowledge. But there was one rule that almost everyone followed without question. Don't touch humans. This rule was old. It had been in the Concord's laws for almost 200 years. It wasn't explained much, just a line in the official rulebook. Species 792A, Homo sapiens, Class 5 isolation. No contact, no interference, no visits, do not engage. Most aliens didn't care. Earth was a small planet far from the main space routes. Humans had only one moon, no faster-than-light travel, and no idea about the greater galaxy. Many aliens thought they were too primitive to be interesting. But Veltrak of the Shalloon was not like most aliens. Veltrak was a scientist and a diplomat. He had studied hundreds of planets and species. He had spent his life learning about strange cultures. And now, for the first time, he found something he could not explain. Why are humans so special that no one is allowed to talk to them? He asked during a Concord meeting. The answer was always the same. Because of Protocol 9. Don't touch humans. But why? Veltrak asked again. Because those who did changed, and some never returned. That answer only made Veltrak more curious. He read all the old files he could find. Most were marked restricted or sealed by order. But some small reports had survived. One talked about a trader ship that crashed near Earth. The pilot was saved by humans and later returned, but he never acted the same again. Another report told about a scout who observed humans from orbit for just 1 month. After returning, she resigned from her job and started painting strange pictures of human faces. Her species called it mind confusion. There was even one secret document written by a warrior from a warlike species. It simply said, "We tried to study them. They studied us back. We thought we were strong. But they have something more. Stay away." Veltrak didn't believe in ghost stories. He believed in data and experience, so he made a plan. With the help of a disguise device, Veltrak changed his body to look like a human. He gave himself brown skin, short black hair, and glasses. He called himself Victor Tran, a made-up name close to his real one. He arrived on Earth through a secret drop pod that landed in a forest. He walked into a city, unnoticed. Earth was loud. It was full of sound, movement, color, and smell. The people were busy. Some were laughing. Some were arguing. Some were sleeping in the streets, while others drove fast metal boxes called cars. Veltrak started watching. He took notes. Humans were strange. They smiled at strangers. They helped people they didn't know. They got angry quickly, but they also forgave fast. Their food was full of spices. Their music was full of feeling. Their books talked about war, love, peace, and dreams. He stayed in a small apartment and lived like a normal person. He visited schools, parks, hospitals, and shops. He met people of all ages. He learned their history, wars, disasters, disease, and still, they survived. And more than that, they kept going. One night he saw something that made him pause. A building nearby caught fire. Smoke rose fast. People screamed. Firefighters arrived, but a child was still inside. Everyone stood back. But then a man, just a regular man, ran into the burning building without any gear. Flames were everywhere. People shouted at him to stop. He came back out, carrying the child in his arms. He was coughing, burned, tired, but alive. People clapped. Some cried. The man just sat on the sidewalk and smiled at the child. "You're safe," he said. Veltrak couldn't believe it. That man could have died. He had nothing to gain. No reward. No fame. Just the desire to help. Why? Veltrak asked a woman nearby. She looked at him and said, "Because that's what we do." Later, walking down a quiet street, Veltrak saw a speeding car heading toward a young boy chasing a ball. Without thinking, Veltrak dashed forward and pushed the boy away. The car passed by honking loudly. The boy looked up at Veltrak and blinked. "You're not from here, are you?" the boy said softly. Veltrak froze. His eyes changed slightly, and the morph tech on his skin flickered for just a second. The boy didn't run. He didn't scream. He just smiled and said, "Thank you." And then he ran off. Veltrak felt something stir in his chest. Something warm. Something confusing. His communicator beeped. A message flashed from the Concorde. "You have broken Protocol 9. A retrieval team is coming." Veltrak stood still under the night sky. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, a ship was coming for him. He had broken the rules, but he didn't regret it. He now understood why the rule existed. It wasn't to protect humans from the galaxy. It was to protect the galaxy from humans. Not because humans were evil, not because they had dangerous weapons, but because they changed people. Veltrak, a trained scientist from a cold, logical species, had risked his life to save a child. That wasn't normal for him. He had been changed just by being near them. Back on the Concorde, the other aliens had no idea. They thought humans were weak, slow, behind in technology, but they had something greater than any weapon: hope, bravery. Hart Veltrak looked back at the city behind him. Lights shining, music playing, people laughing. He whispered to himself, "Maybe we should have touched them sooner." The sky over the city was clear. Stars sparkled like small lights in the dark night. Veltrak sat on the roof of his small apartment, watching the world below. Cars moved on the roads, people walked on sidewalks, and lights shone from windows. Life on Earth never stopped. It was loud, messy, and fast, but to Veltrak, it was beautiful. It had been 2 weeks since he arrived. His mission was simple at first: observe humans, learn their behavior, and return to the Galactic Concorde. But things had changed. He had saved a boy from being hit by a car. That moment had changed everything. Now he was no longer just a watcher. He had become a part of Earth, even if only for a short time. The next morning, Veltrak left early. He wore a gray jacket, blue jeans, and a backpack. He had learned how to blend in. People thought he was just another quiet man walking through the city. Today, he wanted to see more. He went to the public hospital first. It was crowded. People were tired, sick, and in pain. Yet the doctors and nurses moved quickly. They spoke kindly. They worked long hours without rest. Veltrak watched a young doctor treat 10 patients in a row, smiling all the time. Later, Veltrak followed a group of volunteers giving out food to the homeless. Some of the people had no homes, no money, and no hope, but the volunteers gave them food, blankets, and most importantly, respect. Veltrak asked one of the volunteers, a young woman with curly hair and tired eyes, "Why do you do this?" She looked at him surprised. "Because they need help," she said. "But you don't know them." "I don't have to know someone to care," she said with a smile. Then she walked away, carrying a box of sandwiches. Veltrak made a note in his hidden device. Humans often help others with no reward. Acts of kindness not based on logic. Emotion-driven behavior. Highly unpredictable. He walked for hours that day. In every place, he saw something different. People arguing, laughing, crying, dancing, creating. It was like Earth was full of every feeling possible, all at once. Later that evening, Veltrak entered a small library. It was quiet inside. He liked the calm. He walked between rows of books and picked one at random, a human novel about a soldier who gave up everything to save a village. It was fiction, but the emotion felt real. A librarian walked over and said kindly, "That's one of my favorites. It's not about the war. It's about the people." Veltrak nodded slowly. He didn't speak much after that. He just sat in a corner and read. Hours passed. The more he read about humans, the more he began to feel something he had never felt before. Respect. That night, Veltrak returned home and checked his hidden transmitter. A message had arrived from the Concorde. Retrieval team arriving in 48 Earth hours. Prepare for extraction. End contact with native species immediately. Veltrak stared at the words. He should have been relieved. His mission was almost over. He would go home, back to safety, back to his kind. But he didn't feel happy. He looked around his small room. The plant he had grown by the window, the food he had learned to cook, the photos he had taken of children playing, old people dancing, and strangers hugging. He didn't want to leave. Not yet. Something was pulling him to stay. The next morning, Veltrak returned to the park where he had saved the boy. To his surprise, the same boy was there, playing with the same red ball. The boy saw him and waved. "Hey, you're the man who saved me." Veltrak smiled gently. "Yes, I am." The boy ran up to him. "My name's Leo. What's yours?" Veltrak hesitated. Then he said, "Victor." "That's a cool name," Leo said. "Are you from around here?" "No," Veltrak answered honestly. Leo didn't mind. He talked freely. He told Veltrak about his favorite games, his school, his dog, and his dream to become an astronaut. Veltrak listened carefully. Finally, Leo asked, "Are you, really not from here?" Veltrak looked at the boy. He was young but smart. "No," he said. "I'm not." Leo just nodded. "That's okay. You're nice. Not scary." Veltrak felt something warm inside again. Something human. Meanwhile, high above Earth's orbit, a sleek black ship entered the solar system. It belonged to the Galactic Concorde. Inside were 5 members of the retrieval unit, trained for one task: bring back Veltrak. "Scan for signs of exposure," the leader said. "If the subject has formed emotional bonds, prepare memory wipes." The ship activated its cloaking and moved toward Earth quietly. Back on Earth, Veltrak stood in the city square. He watched people walk by, so many lives, each with their own stories. He realized something important. He had come to study humans, but now he had been changed by them. They didn't have ships or space stations, but they had heart. They had hope. They kept standing up, no matter how many times they fell. He opened his communicator and sent a final message to the Concorde. "You told me not to touch humans. Now I understand why. I touched their world, their hearts, their spirit, and I am no longer who I was." He turned off the communicator and dropped it into a river. That night, the sky above the city lit up for a second. Just a flash, then gone. The retrieval ship had arrived, but they found nothing. Veltrak was gone. No signal, no beacon, only a small notebook left in his apartment, with one sentence written on the last page. "Some species evolve through time. Humans evolve through struggle. Do not fear them. Learn from them." In the Galactic Concorde, the Council reviewed the mission. The retrieval unit returned empty-handed. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, one old counselor said, "Mark the planet as it is." And so, once again, Earth was listed as Species 792A, Homo sapiens, Class 5 isolation. Do not engage. Don't touch humans. But not everyone agreed. Some whispered in quiet corners of space that the Concorde was afraid, not of what humans might do, but of what they might become. Far away from Earth, in the shining halls of the Galactic Concord, 5 high-ranking members of the Council sat in silence. A large screen showed the latest report from the retrieval unit. "Target not found," said the voice of the mission leader. "Veltrak vanished. No signal, no energy trail. Local interference made tracking impossible. We believe he has chosen to stay." One of the council members, a tall being made of silver mist, spoke quietly. "Another one lost. There were now 7 explorers who had gone to Earth and never returned." Councillor Bren Lore, the oldest member, leaned forward and said, "It's time we review the rule again. The humans are still in Class 5 isolation. But for how long?" Another member replied quickly, "No, the rule stays. Don't touch humans." "But why?" Bren Lore asked. "They don't even have space travel. Yet they change us. That's what we're afraid of, isn't it? Not their weapons, not their ships, but their spirit." The others fell silent. Far below them, Earth spun in space, quiet and unaware, or so they believed. Back on Earth, Aegis Division was watching. It was a secret human agency hidden deep underground. Few knew it existed, not even most governments. But Aegis had one job: protect Earth from knowledge it wasn't ready for. Inside the Aegis base, Commander Ava Rios looked at a large monitor. It showed old Concord messages, intercepted from space, translated by human-made AI. A young analyst stepped forward. "Ma'am, we confirmed it. The alien named Veltrak was here. He stayed for over 2 weeks, then disappeared without a trace." Ava nodded. "Did he hurt anyone?" "No. In fact, he helped people, saved a child, volunteered at a hospital." Ava sighed. "Just like the others." She turned to a second screen. It showed old footage, dark images of a crash in the Arctic, from 50 years ago. A strange figure pulling itself from wreckage. A human team rescuing it. The screen shifted to paintings made by a woman who once saw the stars from an alien ship. She never spoke again, but she painted Earth floating inside a glowing hand. "We warned them," Ava said, "and still they came." High in orbit, another Concorde ship hovered just outside Earth's range. The crew inside was worried. They had picked up something strange, a new ship, orbiting nearby. But it wasn't one of theirs. It looked partly human, but also not. Sleek, silent, covered in black panels and energy shields. Then, without warning, the ship sent out a message. Voice filled the channel, clear, steady, and unmistakably human. "To the Galactic Concord. We are the Aegis delegation. We come in peace, but we are not blind." The Concorde ship froze. Another voice followed, this one older. "You told the galaxy not to touch us, but one of you came. He stayed. And now, we understand more than you think." The human ship didn't attack. It didn't even move closer. It simply floated in space, silent but powerful. Inside the Concorde ship, the captain opened a direct line to the High Council. "This is serious," he said. "Humans are not waiting for contact anymore. They are making contact." Back on the ground, Ava stood in the command room of the Aegis ship, resolute. It was Earth's first deep-orbit hybrid vessel, secretly built using knowledge taken from past alien visits. The ship was faster than anything the world had seen before. It had no weapons, just scanners, shields, and one powerful message system. Ava's second-in-command, Lieutenant Jian Park, asked her, "Are we doing the right thing, showing ourselves now?" Ava looked at Earth below. "They already made contact. Now we show them we're not scared." Jian nodded. "And Veltrak?" "We'll find him, or he'll find us." In a quiet part of Africa, a small village welcomed a new teacher. He was calm, kind, and always curious. He helped children learn math, science, and stories from faraway lands. They didn't know he was not from Earth. Veltrak had changed. He no longer sent reports. He no longer cared about the Concorde's rules. He had found something here that no alien world could give him: connection. At night, he wrote in a journal, "I see now. Humans are not perfect. They fight, they argue, but they also heal, they forgive, they dream. And their greatest power is that they never stop trying." At the Concorde, panic started to grow. If they're building ships— "From scraps of our tech," said one leader. "What happens if they get more?" "They adapt too quickly," said another. "They learn in years what takes us decades." Brenlor stood and raised a hand. "Then perhaps it is time we stop treating them like a danger and start treating them like equals." "Are you mad?" Someone shouted. "No," said Brenlor. "I am ready to stop being afraid, because maybe, just maybe, they can teach us something." But most members voted against open contact. Once again, the warning remained: don't touch humans. But now, it was not just a warning. It was a defense. That night, on the Resolute, Ava looked out at the stars. A message came through, encrypted, simple, direct. She read it twice and smiled. The message said, "You saved a child. I saw you. I remember." Leo Veltrack had sent it. Somehow, somewhere, he was still watching, too. Ava closed her eyes and whispered, "So, they really did change you." In schools, scientists and thinkers across Earth began to sense something big was coming. A shift, a moment in time where the world would turn a corner. The galaxy had tried to hide from humanity, but humanity had found its way anyway, not through force, but through will, through heart. Through the quiet message sent from the stars, through a teacher in a village, through a commander on a ship, and through a boy who once chased a ball in the street. The Concorde could no longer ignore the truth. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready. In the deep, quiet space between galaxies, strange things began to happen. Ships from the Galactic Concorde started reporting missing signals. Satellites vanished. Exploration drones stopped sending data. Patrol teams returned with strange stories. Shadows, moving in space, lights flickering where no stars existed. At first, the Concorde thought it was a technical error. But then something appeared. A ship, not Concorde, not from any known species, entered orbit around Yara 3, a peaceful trade planet. The ship was quiet. It sent no threats, no demands, only one short message. "We are the Aegis delegation, humans of Earth. We come with respect." Panic spread through the Concorde. Humans had arrived. Back on Earth, inside the underground Aegis base, Commander Ava Rios watched the live feed from the alien system. The ship Resolute had traveled farther than any Earth-made object before. It had jumped through deep space using technology partly human, partly alien, built in secret, tested in silence. Lieutenant Gian Park stood beside her. "They've seen us now," he said. "They needed to," Ava replied. "We couldn't stay hidden forever." The Resolute had no weapons. Its shields were strong, but the mission was clear. Observe, speak, do not fire. They came not as soldiers, but as watchers, ready to listen, ready to learn. Yet Ava knew the truth. Many in the Concorde did not want peace. On Yara 3, the people gathered in fear. Shops closed, markets emptied, children were taken indoors. They had all heard the stories, the rule. Don't touch humans. But now the humans had come to them. And they did not look like monsters. A tall woman in a dark suit stepped out of the Resolute. Her name was Ambassador Elena Torres, a skilled speaker chosen by Earth's hidden leaders. She walked slowly, with calm eyes and steady hands. "I bring greetings from Earth," she said to the local leaders. "We have watched your people for many years. We come not to conquer, but to share." The aliens didn't respond at first. They only watched. One older alien, a historian, finally said, "Why now?" Elena smiled gently. "Because your people touched us first." Back at the Galactic Concord, emergency meetings filled the chambers. Members argued for hours. They broke isolation. They stole technology. They were told not to interfere. Counselor Bren Lore, the oldest, stood once again. "Yes, and yet they come with open hands. Not war, not fire." But others disagreed. They feared what humans might become. They remembered Veltrak, who had vanished and never returned. They remembered strange changes in their own people after even short contact with Earth. One counselor said, "Humans are too dangerous. Their thoughts are too loud. Their emotions too wild. If they grow stronger, they will not stop." But Bren Lore answered, "And if we do not grow with them, we may be left behind." Veltrak sat in the shade of a tree, in the village he now called home. Children played nearby. Birds sang above. The wind carried the smell of firewood and flowers. He had seen the message. He knew the Resolute had revealed itself, and he knew what would happen next. A choice. Either the galaxy would accept humans, or it would fear them forever. A young girl sat beside him. She handed him a flower and said, "Will you tell us a story today?" Veltrak nodded. "Yes. Today I'll tell you the story of the Star People, who were afraid of kindness." The girl tilted her head. "Why would anyone be afraid of that?" Veltrak smiled sadly. "Because sometimes kindness is more powerful than any weapon." On Yara 3, things were changing. The humans helped repair broken machines. They shared clean water systems. They translated Earth books into alien languages. Slowly, the fear began to fade. One young alien boy approached a human engineer and asked, "Do you really have only one planet?" The engineer laughed. "Yes, but we dream of more." The boy said, "We have 7, but none of us dream like you do." In a hidden part of the Concord space station, a group of leaders gathered without the full council. They were from old, powerful species, rulers of war fleets and star empires. They did not like change. They did not like the idea of humans speaking as equals. One of them, a tall being with glowing red eyes, said, "They must be stopped before others follow them." "Agreed," said another. "Let the rule be enforced, not with warnings, but with force." They began to plan a secret mission, not to scare Earth, but to destroy the Resolute. But the humans were not foolish. On the Resolute, Ambassador Elena received word from Earth. A message from Aegis Division came through. "High threat detected. Concord may act with force. Return or prepare." Elena looked at her crew. "We stay. If we run now, we confirm their fear. But we don't fight. We stand." Her crew agreed. They turned off their shields, not as a sign of weakness, but as a message. "We trust you." Back at the Concord, Bren Lore stood before the full council one last time. "I was there when the rule was first written," he said. "I remember the fear, but I also remember the truth. Every one of us who met a human came back changed." "Is that so terrible?" he asked. Some looked away, some thought deeply. Some still felt anger. But one by one, more began to understand. Maybe change wasn't weakness. Maybe it was time. As a small Concord warship moved toward Yara 3, ready to carry out the secret plan, something happened. Another ship appeared. Not human. Not Concord. It was Veltrak's ship. It blocked the warship's path. Veltrak's voice came through, steady and calm. "You touched them first. Now let them speak. Let them grow." The warship paused. The captain, hearing Veltrak's name, gave a quiet command. "Stand down." Back on Yara 3, Ambassador Elena stood on a platform, speaking to thousands, humans and aliens together. "We are not here to lead you. We are not here to change you. We are here because you changed us. We are human, and we are not perfect, but we are ready to walk with you." The message spread across the galaxy. Videos of humans working beside aliens, laughing, learning, dreaming, seen by billions. And across the stars, the meaning of the old warning changed. Don't touch humans. Once it meant they are dangerous. Now it meant they are powerful in ways we do not yet understand. A soft wind moved through the halls of the Galactic Concord, carrying quiet voices, calm thoughts, and important decisions. The oldest council in the galaxy was gathered once more, but this time the room felt different. There was no shouting, no fear, only attention. In the center stood Ambassador Elena Torres, dressed in a dark, simple suit. Behind her, on a large screen, images from across the stars played. Humans shaking hands with aliens, children from two worlds playing together, Earth sharing water and books with dry planets, ships being built in peace. She took a deep breath. Then, she spoke. "We are humans. We were told not to touch the galaxy, and for a long time, we did not. Not because we were afraid, but because we listened." She paused, letting her words land. "But now we stand here. Not because we broke your rule, but because you broke it first. You came to us. You watched us. You studied us. Some of your own stayed with us. And they were changed." The council remained quiet. Elena continued. "Now you must decide. Do you meet us with peace? Or do you fear what we might become?" High above the council chambers, in a private room, Councillor Brenlor watched the speech. He sat with his hands folded. He had spent over 100 years guiding decisions, writing laws, and protecting balance. He whispered to himself, "They were never the danger. It was our fear that blinded us." He pressed a small button, connecting to the council below. "I speak in favor of Earth," his voice said across the room. "Let them speak. Let them walk with us. Let them be heard." A second voice joined, then a third. Not all agreed, but many did. Far from the Concord, on a small planet lit by a red sun, Veltrax stood watching the sky. A boy beside him pointed up and said, "That's Earth's ship, right?" Veltrax smiled. "Yes, that is their voice among the stars." He had once come to Earth to study. He had once worn a human disguise. But now he wore his real face, and the people here didn't mind. To them, he was a friend, a teacher, a bridge. He looked back at the boy. "Remember this moment. This is history." Back on Earth, the world was changing too. For decades, people had looked up at the sky and wondered. Now, they knew. Aegis Division stepped into the light. No longer a secret, it became a guide. Schools started teaching about the galaxy. New departments opened to study other life. Nations worked together like never before. Humanity was no longer just one planet. They were part of something bigger. But not everyone in the galaxy was ready. On a cold, distant moon, a group of old leaders gathered in secret. They were from species that had once ruled with fear. Their eyes were sharp, their voices low. "They speak of peace now," said one. "But what if they grow too fast?" "They adapt," said another. "They never give up. One day, they may challenge us." One leader stood slowly. "Then let us not wait. Let us prepare, quietly, carefully." But even among them, some were unsure. "They've shown no desire to conquer," one said, "only to learn." Still, the seeds of fear remained. Weeks passed. Then something strange happened. A signal appeared near the edge of Concord space. A ship, unknown and silent, sent out a message in every known language. The message was not long. "We are humanity. You told the stars not to touch us. Now we offer our hand. Will you take it?" The signal was sent again and again, to every planet, every station, every leader. It was not a warning. It was a choice. On the planet Nerath, a scientist watched the message with wide eyes. She remembered her friend who had gone to Earth and never returned. Now she understood why. They were not taken, she whispered. They chose to stay. She stood and opened her communicator. I want to visit Earth, she said. I want to learn. One by one, others followed. A trader from Julius V offered goods in Earth's markets. A poet from Zarthek sent messages to human writers. A team of engineers from 3 species joined human builders to design the first galactic learning station, where young minds from across the stars could grow together. The Conquered, seeing all this, held a final vote. After many long days, the results came in. Earth was no longer under isolation. Humans were now official members of the Concord. The warning was changed. The rule was rewritten, where it once said, Species 792A, Homo sapiens, do not engage, do not touch. It now said, Species 792A, Homo sapiens, proceed with open mind, do not underestimate. A giant monument was built at the center of the Concord station. It was made of stone, metal, and glass from 70 different planets. It showed a simple image, a human hand reaching out and an alien hand meeting it. Below it, these words were written in over 600 languages. First, we feared them. Then we knew them. Now we walk with them. Do not touch humans to hurt. Touch them to grow. Commander Ava Rios stood beside Veltrak at the base of the monument. You believed in us first? She said quietly. Veltrak shook his head. No, I only saw what was always there. They both smiled. Above them, children from different worlds ran through the open plaza, laughing together. The future had already begun. Back on Earth, in a small house near the sea, young Leo sat at a desk, writing in his notebook. He looked up and smiled at the night sky. I want to go there one day, he whispered, to the stars, to see what's out there. His mother stepped in and kissed his forehead. You will. The stars are waiting. And in the dark corners of space, some still watched in silence. But even they one day would hear the voice of Earth. Not shouting, not fighting, just reaching. The end.